Okay. I'm not even ready and it started recording. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, guys. So, finished another book. It was an audiobook. Get me situated. Oh, I forgot to do that. So, while I get situated, you guys can watch me fill out my reading journal. Yeah. See you in a few. Okay. Now we got that. Oh no. That's not good. It's fine. I'll fix it. So that is two books, two, I need to get like some Windex or something to fix that. Because that's not actually, dry erase. So it's 2 books so far this year. This one was a struggle. So, bitch, open up. I read this one. Hot Vampire Next Door. It's a novella by Nikki St. Crow? Yeah, I'm gonna say Crow. Who is the one who wrote the Vicious Lost Boys series, like The Never King and all of that stuff. I picked this book because it was only a 3-hour listen. I did listen to it in audiobook. I'm lowering that because I can. Because I was playing Supermarket Simulator, and it's kind of mindless. So I'm like, you know what? I might as well listen to something while I'm doing this. So I'm like, yeah, it'll be quick because I didn't expect to be as obsessed with Supermarket Simulator as I am because I do work retail. So yeah. It took me 3 days to listen to it. Because it was very, very cringy. I realized now that I cannot listen to romance audiobooks because they do make me cringe because the narration is weird to me. I can read them just fine, but listening to them is different. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to power through this. I shouldn't have. Let's start with the author. I'm not going to rip her apart, but I am a little disappointed in this book because it is a vampire book, obviously. And according to her own website, she has read the Anne Rice books and even mentions Lestat de l'Encord, who is like hugely prominent. I mean, if you've watched Interview with the Vampire, or Queen of the Damned, or whatever. So yeah, I expected not exactly like how Anne Rice writes because she writes very closed door romances, if there's romance at all, which very, very minimal in Anne Rice books. However, this book was only about 3.5 hours long. I read it at 1.7 times speed because at 2 times speed I can't understand anything. So 1.75, it's still quick, and it still took me 3 days to listen to it. So, my as usual, I don't know where to start. This one was bad. And not like the librarian one was. This one was just very amateurish, in my opinion. Spicy, yeah. It's a vampire book. It's going to be a little spicy. But it it felt like the plot was second to the spice. which I don't like books that are like that. I prefer a little spice with my plot, and even then, I want it to feel like it belongs in there, not just thrown in as something to have. So if you want to read my review, I'll link it in the description below, as I did with my last video. I have a review on there, on Storygraph, and on Fable. I've also started recording my reading goal on thriftbooks.com, because they have that now. And I love thriftbooks.com. That's where I got a lot of my books from. Thriftbooks.com, from the thrift store, from Dollar Tree. I got a lot of stuff from Dollar Tree. So yeah, if you want to just read the description where it hides the spoilers, that's fine. I will tell you that I gave this a 3.5 star, but I did lower it because the plot was second to the smut. However, I did give the smut a 3 spice. Because it's good, but I think I was a little agitated at how much there was in a book that's only 3.5 hours long and under 150 pages. Yeah. So, now that you have my star rating, if you don't want spoilers, I don't know if I've given spoilers. I am so agitated with this novella. If you don't want spoilers, now's the time to click off the video. Go look at my review. I do have the spoiler tag on my Fable review, though. Because there are spoilers in my review, but on Storygraph and on Goodreads, they're blanked out. So you're not getting any spoilers, you're just getting my straight up review. So now we're going into my spoiler review. Let's start off with she's about to turn 21, and the premise of this thing is that when you turn 21, you get pledged to a house, whether it be one of the vampire houses or a witch coven or a shifter house or whatever. Usually the bidding for the people is a formality because they expect you to go with the house that your parents were with, and so on and so forth, all the way down your line. So she is technically, but not officially, with the Lock House, which is one of two of the most predominant vampire families in this town. I can't remember the town name. So that tells you how significant it is. The Duvals are the second house. Both houses founded this town. And so the hot vampire next door, his name is Bran. So him and his blood brother, like biological brother, were turned by a really high power master vampire or whatever, and then they became Duvals and started the house and blah blah blah. So she's like maybe a few days away from being forced essentially to pledge herself to the Locke family. But the Duvals decided to put in a bid for her. And she doesn't know why. And Bran does, which pisses me off through this whole thing. He knows why, or he thinks he knows why. Um, but it's a mess. My mind is a mess because there's so much in such littleness, such smallness. Um, so she is supposed to pledge to the locks. Duval's put in a bid for her. She plans to leave the town completely because she doesn't want to be pledged to anything. Because when you pledge to a vampire house specifically, you essentially have to open a vein anytime they want to drink anything. Um, so she doesn't want that, and I don't blame her. Um, she hasn't told anyone that she's leaving, except for Bran. The first almost half of the book is spent with her essentially obsessing over him, which is a little weird. Because he lives next door, and this motherfucker, he can hear her doing everything. He can hear her doing everything. And he likes to walk around his house naked, which yeah. No fault to him. If I could walk around my house naked too, I would, but I would keep the curtains drawn because clothing sucks. So the first smut scene, which some would not consider a smut scene, happens about a third of the way through the book. And he basically has her against a tree and then fingers her. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that in YouTube. I don't care. I'm not making money anyway, so it don't matter. So yeah, that's the first scene. She's supposed to be a virgin, but I think my definition of a virgin and the Nikki's definition of a virgin are two different things. I think hers is having actual intercourse with someone, and mine is just kind of celibate, being celibate. So I don't consider the main character a virgin personally, but according to this book, she is because she hasn't done it with anyone. Which okay, cool, whatever, fine. I don't care that much. But it is a little weird. So that's the first one. No build up to it whatsoever. It just happens. And then she's trying to figure out why the Duvals are bidding for her. And Bran decides to take it upon himself to help her, which of course leads to another scene. 150 pages, guys. I'm tired. This makes me tired. So like he's helping her out. Her sister comes home just covered in blood from someone just almost ripping her throat out. And she is like enchanted or something. I can't remember what he called it. I think he called it enchanted. To where she doesn't remember. But the guy in charge of the lock house, Julian, he seems to know. And he is like extremely possessive of the girl's name is Jessie. I just now remembered it because her name is hardly ever said. during this entire thing. Matter of fact, the main character, the main main male character, Bran, he doesn't even say her name until almost completely through the book. Oh my god, he keeps calling her Little Mouse. I don't care if they use nicknames. It's fine. It's nice. It's cute. Whatever. The problem is, he was saying mouse and little mouse so much that I thought he didn't even know her name. And then, yeah, that's my tangent about that. If you use a nickname so much that the reader has to question, do you know her name? Like, I think that's what a lot of people have issues with when it comes to nicknames, because sometimes the authors will go way overboard with them, and this was one of those instances. So yeah, I just yeah. Anyway, moving on. So she has this pendant that she got, or amulet that she got from her mom, that's supposed to be protection. And Bran figures out through scent, because vampires, that it was actually Jesse's boss that created the amulet for her mom years ago. And when they go to confront her boss about it, her boss, because I can't remember the lady's name to save my life. I think her name is like Missy or something. Anyway, her boss says it's not a protection amulet, it's a binding amulet. Which I'm like, oh, okay. So that's when the plot starts getting good. Or would. I'm not reading the other 4 books. Let me put that right here. I am not reading the other 4 books, because I pretty much already sort of know what's going on. So, yeah. Anyway. So, she doesn't understand why there's a binding amulet attached to her, why her mother would give her this, of course. So they figure out that when she was younger, and she does mention this briefly, and they were at some sort of barbecue with the Locke family. One of the younger vampires put not Sophie, sorry. The younger vampire's name was Sophie, and she put Jesse on her back to, go running through the woods or over the trees or whatever, fun stuff. But Jesse doesn't remember a small part of it, like she blacked out. And they told her that Sophie went off to school somewhere. What happened was Julian killed her for drinking Jesse's blood. And I don't know if it's because Jesse was a kid or if it was because she hadn't been pledged yet. Either way, the pull to drink her blood was so intense that Sophie went into a trance and attacked her. The only person who saw this happen is the local pack alpha, Clint. I want to say Clint. It's not. It starts with a C. Might be something simpler than that. But anyway, he saw what happened. So Julian killed Sophie. As you do, I guess. And so now Jesse and Bran go to the werewolf den to talk to the Alpha about what happened. It's not... The conversation was so brief that it was like a passing thing. And it should have been one of those things that they sat down and had an actual discussion about it. But the way it came off was rushed. It felt very rushed. So essentially, Alpha says, what I just told you, that he saw Sophie attack her, and then they ran off, and that was that. And they said, why didn't you report it? And he said, I don't get in vampire business, which, fair. There's a reason he's the Alpha. Supposedly he looks like a Viking. Whatever. It doesn't matter, because he wasn't in this long enough to... Whatever. So they head back to Bran's house, because she's living there now, randomly. After her sister got attacked, he pulled her into his house so he could protect her. I get that he's a vampire and she couldn't have fought him off. But there are literally, like, paranormal police people in this town. So, yeah. Anyway, they get back to his house. She's like, I want you to bite me and tell me the difference. I'll take off the amulet, blah, blah, blah. And then smut scene number 3 proceeds. And at the end, spoiler alert. Spoiler. So if you made it this far and you don't want to know what the end is, go away. Turns out that she has fae blood. Which... Okay. And that is literally how the book ends. He literally says, I can taste fae blood, or some bullshit. That's literally what he says. And then the book ends. Don't piss me off. Okay? Don't piss me off. So yeah, I'm not going to read the other 4. I'm just not. I hope that Nikki's other books are good, because I do have a few of them on my TBR. So yeah, that was the whole book. That was the whole thing. It took me 3 days to read because it was so cringy. So apparently I can't listen to smut being described. That's a me problem. Now I know that I cannot read romance or listen to romance audiobooks. This was a good trial run, though. So yeah, I gave it a 2.5 star rating because it lost a star. Less than 150 pages. And there were 3 smut scenes. There was no build-up. My Swain system, I gave it a 2 out of 10 for suspense, because there was none. There was no suspense. Like, I'm being generous. I should put that as 0, honestly. The writing, when it came to the smut, the writing was good. When it came to rest of it, it was bad. Oh, don't piss me off. At one point, near the end, Bran says her name. And she says that it was the first time she had heard him say it. Which is wrong. Because when they went to talk to her boss, he said her name then. He said, like, what can you tell me about Jesse or something? Or what can you tell us about Jesse's mom? He said her name before. Now, if she had written, it was the first time she heard him say it privately, I'd have let it go. But no. The way she wrote it is, it was the first time I heard him say it. It wasn't. So, that lost a few points for inconsistency. If there was more of the plot in this, I would want to read the other 4. As it stands, I do not. Because this was just nothing. I don't want to say it was nothing but smut, but the main plot of the story didn't start taking off until halfway through. If it wasn't so short, I would have DNF'd it. Plain and simple. Because I'm not. So I'm DNFing the series because of this. Like, her being a fae, I'm sure I could have guessed that at some point. I figured she was. I honestly completely forgot that there were fae in this town. So, I probably would have figured it out eventually. Or I would have thought she was some sort of witch or something. But yeah, the cliffhanger, I understand, especially if you're writing novellas that are supposed to be an entire series or whatever. Like, good way to keep people hooked. I am the self-proclaimed queen of cliffhangers when it comes to, like, fan fiction and stuff. Like, people get so mad at me when I do that. But so, kudos to that. However, the rest of the book didn't make it worth it to me. So this would have been half as big if there wasn't any, like, there wasn't even a build up to a relationship between them. And I understand that they knew each other, which that's fine, but there wasn't a build up to the first smut scene. So, that agitated me. And it lost a point because of that. It would have. I really, once the plot started taking off, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. And then it just stopped for a smut scene. And then he said the Fae line. And if you can take the smut out of a book and the book be good without it, that's where you lose the extra star. Because I don't fuck with that. So, yeah. Would I recommend this book? I don't know. It's up to you to read it. Not my cup of tea. And I get that there is a premise when it comes to vampire stories and stuff. But I would have really liked there to be more plot in this. And I get it, it's a novella, whatever, but the plot was intriguing, but the rest of it just made it not intriguing, not interesting. And the fact that, like, the girl, either she's going to tell her sister and everyone that she's leaving, or she's not. Either way, the wishy-washy thing, I don't know. Maybe that's just my personal thing, because if I'm leaving, I'm gonna say I'm leaving, and that's it. So yeah. The smut scenes didn't feel natural. The plot fell to the wayside. And it was a good plot. Like, I'd have been all over that, but it's not. So, anyway, that's my review. The Now I will say the song that came to mind, the theme song for this, if you're a millennial, you'll know this. It's Ooh 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 or Oh 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 Sexy Vampire. If you want to look that up, that's cool. I already have it in my January theme song playlist. So if you want to look at that, I even picked the one with the animation. If you know, you know, because it's so fun. It's so good. For being made with Flash. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to me rant. This might not be a very long video because if I repeat myself too much, I'll just cut stuff out. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here as usual, and I will see you in the next one. I shouldn't do that because that's in bad taste. Yeah. Bye.
You ain't never gonna get me to be tame. I go insane, you can't detain this beat. Yo, when I came to stay, cause girl, I came to play. Everybody on the top got the same sound. Everything I'm about to drop, make a name now. Yeah, y'all don't really know, y'all don't really know. Y'all don't really know, y'all don't really know. Yeah, I ain't never gonna be the same now. I'ma tear up this whole fucking game now. Yeah, y'all don't really know, y'all don't really know. Y'all don't really know, y'all don't really know.